Number 1. If he had not married by the age of 30, a Spartan of ancient Greece lost his right to vote and was forbidden to attend events in which nude young men and women made merry. Number 2. The Greek philosopher Democritus is known today almost entirely as a result of references, often unfriendly, in the works of others. Only fragments of Democritus's 72 books have survived the ages. Like all the early rationalists, the laughing philosopher had startlingly modern-sounding notions. 1. The Milky Way is a vast conglomeration of tiny stars. Number 3. A temple of Aphrodite, the Greek goddess of love, was discovered appropriately by the American archaeologist Iris C. Love. Number 4. Socrates left no writings of his own. All that is known of the Greek philosopher and gadfly of Athens is through the words of others, principally Plato's. When the oracle at Delphi proclaimed him the wisest of the Greeks, Socrates replied that if he was the wisest, it was only because he alone knew that he knew nothing. Socratic irony at play. Number 5. Concerning oneself with the public business was the hobby of every ancient Greek, the most political of people. A Greek who was odd enough to concern himself only with his private business rather than with public business was an idiotes, from the Greek word idios, meaning private. The Greek view concerning such a person is obvious. Idiotes and idiot are the same word. Number 6. The cult of Pythagoreanism, named for and led by the Greek philosopher, forbade the eating of beans and the poking of fire with an iron poker. Pythagoras is the first person known to have called himself a philosopher, or a lover of wisdom. He felt that the then customary sophist, or wise man, was immodest. Number 7. Sparta's prestige suffered when it took 5 years to subdue an insurrection of the city's helots, or slaves. The helots struck after an earthquake shook Sparta to pieces. They fortified themselves in Mount Ithome, beginning in 464 BC, and surrendered only when they were promised they would not be killed or forced to return to slavery. Sparta kept its promise, allowing the helots to sail to the naval station of Naupactus, founded by Athens on the northern shore of the Gulf of Corinth. Number 8. Though it was only the 5th century BC, the Greek philosopher Empedocles expressed a dim notion of an evolutionary process. He felt that some creatures ill-adapted to life had perished in the past. He also believed that the heart was the center of the blood vessel system. Number 9. In the second half of the 3rd century BC, the Greek geographer and explorer Pytheas, he became a geographer and explorer as a result of his enterprise, probably sailed up the northwest coast of Europe, explored the island of Great Britain, sailed northward to Thule, which was possibly Norway, and penetrated the Baltic Sea as far as the Vistula. His works are the earliest first-hand information we have on northwestern Europe. Number 10. The early Greeks were not always sure about the direction in which lines should be written. At first, they used lines reading alternatively from right to left, then left to right. From about 500 BC, they adopted what has become the modern Western practice of reading and writing from left to right. Number 11. Zeno's logical paradox of Achilles and the tortoise, articulated about 425 BC, could not be expressed in a mathematical formula for 21 centuries. Suppose, Zeno had said, that Achilles can run 10 times as fast as a tortoise, and that the tortoise has a 10-yard head start. It follows, then, he said, that Achilles can never overtake the tortoise. While Achilles covers the 10-yard difference, the tortoise will have moved ahead 1 yard. When Achilles covers that 1 yard, the tortoise will have moved on 1/10 of a yard, and so on. Our senses, however, clearly show us a faster running overtaking and passing a slow runner. The Scottish mathematician James Gregory in the mid-1600s was to demonstrate the existence of converging series, in which an infinite number of terms added up to a finite sum. The Achilles and the tortoise paradox involved, without Zeno's knowledge, such a converging series. Number 12. Because Aristotle rejected Democritus's belief that all matter consisted of tiny particles, they are so small that nothing smaller was conceivable, hence they were indivisible and eternal and unchangeable and indestructible, the atomic theory was doomed through ancient and medieval times. Number 13. Heraclitus was called the weeping philosopher because of his pessimism. He thought so little of the unchangeability of even so glorious an object as the sun that he suggested it was made fresh each morning. Every day there was a different sun. In contrast, Democritus, who was called the laughing philosopher, partly for his teachings, but mainly for his cheerful disposition. He had reason to laugh, however. Most philosophers were poor. Democritus had inherited a vast fortune. Number 14. The city of Corinth in ancient Greece made prostitution a major industry. Over 1,000 women worked as prostitutes at the temple of Aphrodite Porne, and the city became a notorious port of call for sailors. And number 15. No matter who disagreed with them, even other philosophers, Aristotle's ideas, whether right or wrong, usually won out. He thought the heavens were perfect and could not change. He thought only the earth and the regions below the moon could show change and corruption. To Aristotle, comets were part of the earth's atmosphere and not really heavenly objects.